9th of May, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora. Ah.
Okay, so.
Someone Tanas Ganaf.
Oh, yes.
I think I know that phrase. If I learned one thing, I learned that phrase.
Well, that's good. That's Bava Kama, yes. All right, so yes, I think I worked this out after our session yesterday. What is it that Rava wants to say over here? But let's go over it again in the words inside and see it in the words. Be'ezus Hashem. We don't have too much Rashi to, but yeah. Okay, we'll see it.
Okay.
Lou is Phil is okay. We're looking for Phil. Very, very well, maybe he's not here. I spoke to Alan. Alan called me 4 times. I didn't have my phone with me, but he said that his son fixed his computer completely.
Right. Yeah, he told me the same thing.
Yeah. So he hopes to be back soon. Today's family day.
Okay. And Phil sent me a newsletter article this morning, so I think he's around.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
Amar Rava, Tashma, come and learn. Amar le'echad min hashuk. A man said to someone in the marketplace, Heichan shori ganavta. Where is my ox that you stole?
Yeah.
Vahu omer lo ganavti. And the accused answers and says, I did not steal your ox.
Mm-hmm.
Mashbi'acha ani. So the claimant says, swear to me. V'amar amen. And the accused says, amen, meaning I swear that I didn't steal your ox. V'ha'idim me'idim oso shegenavo. And witnesses testified against him that he stole.
Yeah.
Mishalem Tashlumei Kefo. He pays a payment of double.
Right.
The im hodah
Expiration.
me'atzmo. But if my English says the witnesses did not come.
Right. In other words, this is a different scenario. Correct.
Right. And he admitted on his own. So if he says amen, and then sometime later he says, wait a second. I changed my mind. I lied. I now admit that I stole it. Mishalem Kefel.
Karen.
Sorry, Mishalem Karen. The Chomesh, the Asham. So now in this case, instead of paying kefil, which is double, he pays keren, which is one times the value, and then he pays a fifth, and then he brings an asham.
Mhm.
So we can't really compare the asham, but we can say that in terms of the payment, so he's paying 1/10 and 1/5. No, not 1/10. He's paying one. If the cow was worth $1,000, so he pays $1,200, right?
Think so. Pretty more or less. Yeah, I remember there was different views of how to calculate the chumash actually. But let's just say, for the sake of the discussion, that that's what he does.
Right.
He pays a chumash of the disputed amount.
Okay. And if the asham costs $500, so then he pays the $500 also, so it'll be 1,700.
Yeah, the asham means he has to bring a korban asham.
Right, but it has a cost. It has a value.
Yeah.
He has to pay for it also. Right.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Zaha Hacha Edim Hu Dim Chayve Le Kefela. Okay, so now here the witnesses, it is the witnesses that make him liable for the kefil. The witnesses make him liable for the kefil. Okay. So
right. I mean, this is a fact that no one, there's no machlokas about this. In this case, this is not part of the question that Rami Bar Chama was dealing with. Here it's clear that what's causing the chiyuv kefil is the edim.
right. Okay.
And not the shvua. It's clear that the edim are causing it and not the shvua. And nevertheless, we see from the Brisa that he's going to continue now with his point. We see from the Brisa that in the Sefer it says,
Hoda me atzmo in. If he admitted on his own, yes. Meaning, yes, he pays the fifth.
right.
Aval hoda achar edim lo. But if he admitted after the edim came, they swore. I mean, yeah, they testified that it was stolen. And then he admits. He says, "Yeah, you're right. I stole it." Then he doesn't pay the fifth.
Right. That's what Rebbe wants to say is implied by this, that the Sefer says the case that he's modem atzmo, and in that case he's going to be chayav to pay chomish, but he's claiming Rava is tainin. He's pointing out that you see from the seif of this brisa that if he would have been modeh after witness had come, so then he would not be chayav to pay the chomish.
If who would have been modeh after the witnesses came?
The defendant.
Okay, that makes sense.
This is what Rava is pointing out over here. He first brings the brisa, the reisha, and the seifa, and he is being medayek. He is inferring from the brisa that you see from the brisa that the only way that he's going to be chayav to pay chomish is if he is moda mi'atzmo. But if he would be moda acher edim, he would not be chayav to pay chomish. That's the first step of his argument. That's step one. Now he goes on to step two.
Okay, so the salka daitach shavua chayav to kefo, and you would think that it was the oath that made him liable to pay the kefo. Notice when he swore, I did not steal it, and that was a false oath. You might think, well, at that point, because of that oath, he's fired to pay the kefil. Amai hoda achar edim lo. Why, after he admits, I'm sorry, when he admits after the witnesses, it's a question. Does he not pay the 1/5?
My acher edim lo. Why is it that when he's moda after witnesses come, that he does not pay chomish? That's what we were medayik from the seifa. Again, this is step two. The first step was that he proved to us that the brisa holds that only when he's moda me'atzmo would he be chayav to pay chomish. But if he would be moda after witnesses came and testified that he was a ganav, and he says, yes, I admit I was a ganav, he's moda after the witnesses, Rabba was medayik that the brisa holds that in that case he'd be pater on a chomish. That's the first point that Rabba wants to put down over here. That's his first point in his argument. So he's going to build on that right now in the second point, and he's going to say, if that is so, v'isokadaita shavua hamachayabto kefo potarto mina chomish. Now this is the point over here that we have to understand what he's saying over here. He's not saying over here, if you thought that in that case that we mentioned in this brisa, in the Reisha, that it was not the witnesses that caused him to have to pay kefil, but it was really the shvua that caused him to pay kefil. That's not what he's saying. He's not saying that. He's saying that if in a scenario where like the scenario that the Gemora said in explaining the question of Rabbi Bar Chama. So in that scenario where we had the whole story that we had with the 6 steps, that the guy made a denial, it was stolen, and then he swore that it was stolen. Then he said no, it was lost, and then he swore that it was lost. And then witnesses come and say that at the time that that he made that first shvua, he had it in his backyard. If you thought to say that in that case it's the shvua it's causing him to be chayiv the chomish, no, not chayiv chomish, but chayiv the kefil. And accordingly, that would pater the chomish, because you can't be chayiv kefil and chomish based upon one shvua, but you could be chayiv kefil and chomish if it was a case of one mammon, like that case is. That case is a case of one mammon. If you thought to say, in other words, that in that case that we said with the 6 steps, that the din would be, if you thought to say that case that we mentioned with the 6 steps, that the din would be that, he's going to pay kefil because of the first shvua, and he's going to pay chomesh on account of swearing falsely on the second shvua. The first shvua, he's paying kefil because of the shvua, not because of the witnesses. It's called he's paying because of the shvua, because he was a ton tanis ganav, and a ton tanis ganav pays kefil because it is because of the witnesses. But the witnesses are proving that what? Not that he stole it, but that he held it and he had it in his possession at the time that he made the shvua, that it was stolen from him. So they're proving that he made a false shvua, and it's the false shvua that is what causes him to have to pay kefil in that case. But so in that case he's paying kefil, and for that shvua he's not going to be chayiv to pay chomesh. But the second shvua, where he says his claim was that it was lost, and then the witnesses come, and then he admits himself. He admits himself that it was a lie, what he swore to. So in that case, we said that he was going to be chayiv a chomesh based upon that scenario. So now we wanted to know, how do we look at that 6-step? Is he going to pay kefil and chomesh? Because why? Because it's the shvua that's machayev you. So as long as you have one shvua is the kefil and the other shvua is machayev the chomesh, so that's not that he'll be chayev in both. He'll be chayev for both. It's just that if you held that in the case where it's only one mammon, it's hard to explain. Too many words. Too many words. In any case, that's what he's saying over here. Isok adaita. If you thought that the true perspective of the two perspectives that we presented is that it's not the mammon which is machayev the kefil and thereby potering, exempting the chomesh, but it's the shvua that does so. If that's what you thought, and accordingly, you would pay both kefil and chomesh in the 6-step case that we said. If that's what you thought, then we have a question for you, says Rava. Amai hoda acha edim lo. Why is it then that in this case where he's been why in this case where he is being moda after the witnesses have come, do we see from this brisa that he would not be chayav to pay kefil? Strike that he would not be chayav to pay chomesh. Michti. Look into this. Step 3. Ha shvua lo ka mechayev alei kfela. That shvua over there was not the thing that was mechayev him to pay the kefil. Because even without the shvua, he's not chayav to pay kefil. He is chayav to pay kefil. Wow. You know what? This is quite exacting. And you make one foul step and you messed it all up. Yedin gazlan shenishba l'sheker. Elav shmamina, moman, hamachayvo kefil, potarto mina chomesh, shmamina. And now, the way I'm speaking it out, I see that I don't really clearly understand it, because otherwise I'd be able to explain it. And I'm not explaining it successfully. So let's try this one again. Let's go over the steps one more time. Step 1 in Rava's proof. Rava has a 3-step proof over here. It takes 3 steps to give his proof over here. It's a bit involved. First step is that Rava points out that v'hahacha edim hu the mechayve le kfela. This case here in the Reisha of the Brisa is a case where it was the witnesses who are mechayev him in kefil, because even without the shvua that he made in the Reisha, he would be chayev kefil. Why? Because when witnesses testify that a person is a ganav, he pays kefil. Period. He made even if he made no shvua whatsoever. So the Reisha is a case over here where the edim are the gorem of the chiyuv of the kefil. That's step 1. Now, nevertheless, we go to step 2. The Seifa says that the case where he's going to be chayav to pay chomesh is where he was modeh ma'atzmo. Meaning to say, modeh ma'atzmo means that he was modeh on his own before any witnesses came. After making a shvua that he did not steal it, now he admits that that it was a lie what he said. In that case, in that case specifically, he's going to be chayav to pay chomesh. Aval hoda acha edim, but if his admission would only have come after edim, we don't have that case. Not in the Reisha, not in the Sefer. But we're inferring that a case where he was moda after witnesses came, he would not be chayav chomesh. The Sefer that says that he's chayav chomesh is speaking out specifically the one case that he would be chayav to pay chomesh, according to the Bryce, where he was moda matz. Okay. The next step. Step 3 is that Rava challenges and says, Iso kadaita, if you thought that the emes was shvua hamachayavto kefil potarto mina chomesh, meaning to say, if you held like the this, the second side that we mentioned above, that the Torah holds that this, that you cannot pay kefil and chomesh at the same time, refers to a case where you have just one shvua. You can't pay kefil and shvua, can't pay kefil and chomesh as a result of one shvua. But according to this sad, you would be able to pay kefil and chomesh if you had two shvuas. One shvua was chayav the kefil, one shvua was chayav the chomesh, in spite of the fact that both shvuas were made in regard to mammon echad, regarding one case of a deposited item, such as the 6-step case that we had. If you thought to say therefore in such a case like that, the din would be that he would be able to pay kefil and chomesh, because the kefil was incurred by the shvua number 1, and the chomesh was incurred by shvua number 2. So then we don't say kefil poters chomesh. We only say it when kefil and chomesh come together in one shvua that he made. Such as the case of a ton tanis ganav. That's where kefil and shvua would come together. So if that would be able to pay kefil and chomesh as a result of in one case, as long as it wasn't in the same shvua, so then if so, amai hoda acher edim lo. Why is it that we see from this brisa that it's meduik from this brisa that if he was modeh only after the witnesses came, that he would not be chayav to pay chomesh? The fact that he was modeh after the witnesses came is not a reason to make him exempt on the chomesh. That it's not a hodah. It's called a valid hodah, even after the witnesses have come. It won't be to any avail to exempt him of the chiyuv kefil. He'll be chayav kefil based upon the witnesses' statement, but he will also be chayav a chomesh. Why should he not be chayav a chomesh? My hoda afal heidim loy.
Where are we?
We are in the middle of this proof that Rava is saying over here.
Rava.
And truth to be told, I think it's even more difficult than the previous Gemora that we were attempting to explain.
Yeah, this is very complicated. I'm in trouble with it.
Okay, let's you want to start again? You got wherever you want to start from.
Let's go. Let's review from Socket Daisak.
Okay.
Okay, Socket Daisak. Shavua Hamechai Yav Kefel. Tarto Min HaChomesh. If you would think that the oath that made him liable for kefil exempts him from the 1/5. What does that mean? The oath swears that makes him liable for kefil. And you want to, and they want to say, well, because he's paying kefil, he doesn't pay 1/5. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I might think that. Amai hoda achar edim lo. Why then, if he admits after the witnesses, he doesn't have to pay the 5th. So he swears. Wait, so what is it asking now? He swears, and now after the witnesses come, he admits. Why does he not have to pay the 5th when he admits? Because we say that if he admits, he has to pay the 5th. So why don't we say, well, he swore, therefore he pays double, and he admitted, therefore he pays the 5th. That's the question, right?
Why should he not have to pay the 5th in the case where he's moda after witnesses have already testified that he was a ganim? And we said that the Brisa holds that he would not be chayav a chomish.
Right. So why not? We say that if he admits, he pays the 5th. He admitted. So let him pay the 5th. Okay. So I see the question. Makdi. Let's see. Makdi means now let us see.
50, yeah.
Shavua lo ka mechayva le kthela. This oath did not make him liable to the kefil payment. This oath did not make him liable to the kefil payment. Wait, I thought we said it did.
He's now he's talking about the ratio of this brisa here.
Okay, I'm confused. What brisa?
The brisa that said that that when the guy says, where's my animal that you stole? He says, I didn't steal it. He says, I adjure you, and he says, okay, I'm adjured, and then witnesses come and say, no, he did ganvit. He is the gan. Say in that case he pays kefil, but he's putter on the chomish. So, 1 second. Now, having explained that, right? So in that case, Rava said, "What's the reason why he's chayav chomish?" No. What's the reason why he's chayav kefil in that case? Because witnesses made him chayav kefil, not the shvua. The shvua wasn't the reason. If he wouldn't need to make a shvua altogether, and he'd still be chayav kefil in that case based upon the witnesses. So that's what the Rav is pointing out over here. Mikti ha shvua lo machayve le kfela. We're talking about a case in our brisa where it was not the shvua that caused him to pay kefil. Because even without any shvua, he would have been chayav kefil based upon the witnesses. And therefore, and therefore, and therefore, he follows and says, "Techayve chumsha."
So the brisa is what is stated by Rava.
Yeah.
And the brisa says that he has to pay kefil because the witnesses came. But if the witnesses did not come, he admitted on his own, he'd pay a fifth.
Right.
So he pays kefil because of the witnesses. So now what is he saying? Let's see. This oath that he said he did not make him liable to kefil payment. Didn't we just say it did?
Okay, I see what you're getting caught up in over here. When we said in the previous step, we said edim no biso kedaita. If you thought shvua mechayvo kefo potro mina chomish. Now, when Rav is saying that, he's not saying that if you thought that in the case of our brisa that I just got through telling you that it's not the witnesses that cause the payment of the kefil, but it's the shvua that causes the payment of the kefil. Right. No. That's not right. That's not what Rav is talking about. He's talking about the two sides that we had, the two views that we had in the 6-step case, which was the illustration of what Rabbi Bar Chama's question was all about. Whether it's mammon, which is and what he means when he says this over here is you have to keep in mind the 6-step case. And he means to say like this: if you thought to say that in that 6-step case, the Shvua hamachayav to kefil, there was not the mammon which was machayav the kefil, but it was only the only case where only where a shvua was machayav kefil. There, that would be an exemption of chomesh. That's what we mean when we say that that kefil is poter and exempts a chomish. We mean that if it's inside of the case where the shvua where we have a shvua that was machayev the kefil, such as a case of Toan Tanis Ganav. A Toan Tanis Ganav case is a case where the shvua is machayev the kefil.
Right.
And that's that. By the way, that is not up for discussion. There's things that we're saying over here that are up for discussion, that are trying to prove, and there's things that we're saying that are not up for discussion. They're accepted, they're given, and that's a given. But I'm just too many words. What he means to say over here is that if you thought that the only case where kefil will pater chomish is if it's inside of one shvua, such as the case of Toan Tanis Ganav.
What do you mean inside?
I mean, in other words, when you have a case of Toan Tanis Ganav, you have a case where the shvua actually is patering the chomish. That's a given.
Right, okay. The shvua is puttering the chumash. The shvua is causing the kefil and therefore puttering the chumash.
Right. But what Rava is saying over here is he's saying if you thought that if we go back to the two perspectives that we had in the previous Gemora that we learned last week, and we say that when is it that kefil paters chomish? We know that that's also a given. Kefil paters chomish. But Rami Bar Chama was asking, but in which case does it do that? In which case does it do that? That was his question. And we had two possibilities. The two possibilities were that that kefil will pater chomish when you have mammon echad.
One monetary claim.
Yeah, that's well. If you have a claim where there was a chi of kefil, even if it was on the basis of even if that chi of kefil came about as a result of a shvua, such as a case of Toan Tanis Ganav,
right?
So the first perspective said that since you have that chi of kefil, based upon the shvua, the first shvua that the guy made, even though the second shvua obligated him to pay chomesh, the second case obligated.
Now you're going back to the case of the loan, right?
Yeah, because
the loan.
The reason I'm going back to that is because right now Rava is referring to the second of those two perspectives. If he's saying like this, if you thought that the correct view is the second view, then you got a big problem with this brisa over here. Why in this brisa does it say that the only chiyuv for chomish will be if he's moda me'atzmo? You could have a chiyuv for chomish even if he's moda after Eidim come. But I was just referring back to that case with all the steps to refresh our recollection what is the first perspective and what is the second perspective. Because what Rav is doing over, he says I got a brisa, says Rava, that we see from this brisa that the second perspective is incorrect, and the first perspective is the correct perspective. That's what Rava is showing us from this brisa here.
Okay.
That's the big picture.
It's a very big picture, Rabbi.
You have to write this down. You have to write down the 6 steps.
I got that written. I'm looking at it right now.
And then you have to understand what the 2 perspectives are. That's
what I'm not clear on.
Okay, so the thing is like this. According to the first perspective, according to the first perspective, it says that you don't pay Karen and you don't pay Kefil and Chomish when it's regarding one mammon. So the din in that case will be, with the 6 steps, will be that he'll be chayav Kefil, but he will not be chayav Chomish.
So according to that perspective, when he admits that it was lost, he's also admitting that he lied.
That's the second shvua. So according to the second shvua, according to that second shvua, he would be chayav to pay, he's chayav to pay chomish, right?
Well, that's what I would have said, but you just said the opposite.
Right, because according to the first perspective, that chayav chomish, that he would have been chayav according to the second shvua that he made. Now he's admitting it,
right?
And since that shvua that he made was not machayav him kefil, there's no kefil issue over there in that shvua, because the claim that he made was that it was lost from him, and there's no chayav kefil in that case.
Right.
So since there's no chayav kefil in that case, when he admits that he swore falsely that it was lost, he will be chayav chomish, based upon the fact that there's no kefil which is patering him in that shavua. But according to the first perspective, we say that since all of the chiyuvim fall into one box, that's the one box. So if in the one box is the case that it's one moment, it's moment echad. Moment echad.
That's the box we talked about. The box and the briefcase.
So in other words, as long as there is a chayav kefil for that one deposit item, so that chayav kefil will exempt from a chayav chomish, even though that chayav chomish was incurred as a result of a second shvua. Because according to the first perspective, it's all in one box. Both shvuas are in one box. And therefore, you got kefil and chomish in that one box, and the kefil pushes out the chomish. And there's a tour on the chomish. That's the first perspective. But the second perspective is the briefcase. We look at it like a briefcase, which got 2 compartments in it. And those the 2 shvuas correspond to the 2 compartments. And so in that case, what we're saying is, this is the second perspective. The only time that there will be a patur on the chomish is if the the kefil was in the same compartment as the chomish. How do you have the kefil and the chomish in the same compartment? Only in a case of toan tanis ganev. But if you have kefil in the first compartment and you have chomish in the second compartment, so then you can pay chomish and kefil. And that's what this statement that Rava is saying over here is referring to, that case, that second perspective. That he means when he's saying over here, Isota Daitoch, if you thought that the second perspective that says that Shvua, Hamachayavto Kefil Potarto Mina Chomish, meaning to say only in that case where the Shvua is Machayav the Kefil, and also is Machayev the Chomesh. Only in that case do we say that the Kefil paters the Chomesh. But what? But if it would be that you have Kefil incurred as a result of one Shvua and you have Chomesh incurred as a result of a second Shvua, then there would not be a patur on the chomish. You could have a chiyuv kefil and also a chiyuv of chomish in that case. So if that's what you thought to say, so then we see from this brisa here, says Rava, that view is being disproven. That's what he means when he says over here, Amai hoda achar edim lo. Why is it that in this case, why is it that in the case that he would be moda after the witnesses, that he would not be chayav a chomish? Why should he not? Why should he be potter on the chomish in that case? Because it was not the shvua that caused him to be chayiv in the kefil. If it was the shvur that caused him to be chayiv in the kefil, so then that chomish that he incurred as a result of that shvur that was machayiv the kefil, there would be a patur on the chomish, but otherwise not. But in the case of that he makes a hodah after witnesses come, the witnesses were the one that caused the obligation to pay the kefil. So it wasn't the shvua. So if so according to that view that says only when you have a shvua which causes the chiyuv kefil and also the chiyuv chomish, only then we say that the kefil exempts the chomish. Only in that case, but not in any other case. So if so, then why in this brisa is there inference that when you make a hodah after a edim come, that you would not be chayav to pay chomish? Because that kefil was caused by the edim, not by the shvua. And according to this second view, only kefil only exempts chomish when both are incurred as a result of one shvua. That's Rava's question. Michti, ha shavua lo kamachayiv tele kfela. Look at this case in our price over here. It's not the shvua which is obligating him to pay kefil. It's the witnesses, like we said before. Even if he made no shvua, he would be chayav to pay kefil over here in this case. So if so, according to this second view, he should be chayav to pay chomish. And we see that the brisa says he's not. The brisa says the only case where he's chayav to pay chomish is in a case where there was no kefil at all, because witnesses did not come, and he was not a toan tanis ganev, and he admitted after swearing that it was stolen that he was the one. He was that he made a false shvua. Only like that, moda me'atzmo. That's the only case that he pays Chomesh according to this brisa. So we're inferring from the fact that if the brisa says this is the only case that he pays Chomesh, that it must be that the other cases he's not going to pay Chomesh, and that shows us that this brisa holds that the correct view is the first view. The view that how do we look at it? That only when kefil, even when kefil and chomesh are in the same box, even though it's the result of more than one shvua, you exemption. You've got an exemption of chomesh. That's the proof. Not so simple. But that's, I think, it's hard to understand, but what makes it really hard to understand is because there's so many parts to this proof over here. You got to keep in mind that there was the you have to keep in mind very, very clearly what we said before we got to Rava. Because Rava is going on what it was that we said before. He's trying to prove one of the two sides. So you got to have very, very clear what are the two sides. Okay. I think that's it for now.
All right, well, I'm not sure I got much out of today, but Hazard is a good thing.
Yeah, you have to go over the case and write out on a piece of paper the steps, and also what exactly are the two perspectives.
Yeah.
That the Gemora presented, and you have to really, really understand them well in order to understand what Rava is saying over here.
Yeah, that's what I got to do. I have to add. I see. I have it written. I have the steps written.
Ah, okay.
But I need to add the perspectives. I need to go through this by myself.
Right.
At my own pace.
Right.
Hashem, I'll try to do that. This afternoon, my 4:00 class is canceled, so I'll try and do that then.
Okay. Yeah, just I'll leave you with one additional explanation of the difference between these 2 points, these two perspectives. You have time?
No, actually, my next class is in 1 minute.
Oh, okay. Oh, you have a class right now. Okay.
Yeah, Rabbi Moore has a Chumash and Rashi class each day.
Oh, very good. Okay. Okay, all the best, Lou.
All right, thank you, Rabbi. Have a good, happy Lag BaOmer.
Amen. You too.